I'm not talking about the saddest scenes in Final Fantasy. I think we all know what the saddest scene is. It's obviously in Final Fantasy VII when you're at the Gold Saucer and Barrett has to sit there and watch you yap and yuck it up with Aerith or Tifa.
God damn you! God damn you all!
No, we're not talking about moments like this. These are just the most emotional moments to me. And we're going to start with the campfire scene in Final Fantasy XV. So 15 is basically a road trip that slowly turns into this Shakespearean tragedy without any kind of warning. For a big part of the game, it's all vibes, it's all bros and car rides and camping and dumb jokes, and that feeling that you're on an adventure with your best friends. But by the end, that tone is completely gone. The campfire scene happens when everything is basically falling apart. The end is unavoidable, and what makes this scene hit so brutally is that it's not some cinematic hero speech. It's just the four boys sitting there in their lawn chairs. I'm pretty sure they were lawn chairs. Around this campfire in the dark like they've done 100 different times. Except this time, it's different.
And seeing you here now, it's more than I can take.
Yeah, you're damn right it is.
Huh, you spit it out. It's good to hear.
Noctis tries to hold it together, but you can tell he's scared. He's not saying goodbye like a king. He's saying goodbye like a kid who doesn't want to leave his friends. A brother who doesn't want to leave his brothers behind. The whole thing feels painfully human. It's definitely my favorite part of 15. It's my favorite scene. And then we move on to number 9. Now, Final Fantasy VIII can be pretty messy plot-wise, but Laguna is honestly one of the most grounded and real parts of the entire game. He's funny, he's awkward, he tries way too hard, but the game makes it super clear. Laguna's life didn't really go how he wanted it to. By the time you see him visiting Rain's grave, you've basically pieced together what happened. Already, he didn't get the happy ending that he definitely deserved. No, basically time passed and time moved on. And now he's just living with what's left. It's not this super dramatic Shakespearean sadness. It's kind of like this adult, kind of mature sadness. It's that specific kind of pain where you're not really angry anymore. You're not super necessarily hurting anymore. You're just very heavy. Number 8. Look, even if you've never played 7, you obviously know what happens. Aerith is the heart of the party. She's super gentle, but she's bold and optimistic and wise, but not, naive. She's also one of the very, very few characters that feels like she's genuinely at peace with herself. And for me, that's what makes this scene hit so hard. Because she's doing the right thing. She's praying. She's trying to save the world, obviously. And then It's so sudden. There's not like this final words scene. There's not even like a goodbye. There's nothing. It's just basically ripped away, and the game doesn't even let you sit with it first. You're forced forward into like the Genova fight, which is basically exactly, and I know from personal experience, how death feels in real life. And no, I'm not comparing my personal life to a video game, but you guys know what I mean. Something tragic happens and the world keeps turning. This scene didn't just shock people. It permanently changed what we thought video games were even allowed to do. Number 7 is Vivi's letter. So for me, Final Fantasy IX is the sneakiest game ever made. Because yes, it looks cute and it sounds whimsical, and there's goofy enemies and there's ass grabbing and there's silly moments, and underneath all that ass grabbing, the game is about mortality and identity and purpose. Vivi spends the whole story trying to understand what he is and who he is. He's basically a child with this ticking clock that's ticking down towards zero. He's learning about life while knowing deep down that his life might be cut short. So that ending narration or letter is one of the most unfair things Final Fantasy has ever done. It's not screamed, and it's definitely not dramatic. It's very calm. And that calm kind of makes it hurt more. And it's not this super, it's more like a bittersweetness than like a straight up like meh kind of hurt. It hurts good. It hurts so good. Yeah, I don't care how tough you are. If Vivi's whole story and arc doesn't move you a little bit, you are definitely dead inside, and we cannot be friends. Number 6. Final Fantasy X is built on sacrifice from minute 1. Sacrifice is the whole theme, the running through line for the entire game. So everybody knows what a summoner means. Everybody knows where the summoner ends. They know how the story ends. Well, except for Titus. But you spend the whole game hoping maybe somehow this time it'll be different. And then at the end you realize the truth. Even if Yuna saves the world, she can't keep what she loves. Another bittersweet ending. And the ending does make it clear not all victories are going to feel like victories. And why it hits so hard is the goodbye is cruel because it's so like quiet and gentle. Yuna is composed and you can tell she's really trying to be strong. She's trying to not fall apart in front of everyone. And Titus is basically just realizing that it's too late. And this scene, and in fact, this specific shot, which I'm going to put in right here, is my favorite shot probably in Final Fantasy. Because it just shows, I don't know, something in Yuna's eyes is so sad. It's this quiet resignation, that she's not going to be with Titus, that she might not be happy ever. It's really sad. And whoever animated that, kudos to you, because it was great. Number 5 might surprise you a little bit. And we're talking about Celes. And 6 is the game that said, what if the villain wins? What if the Joker wins? Well, Kefka destroys the world and the world collapses and hope is basically dead and gone. So Celes wakes up in a broken world with no real answers, no party, no direction, and no guarantee of anything ever really being okay ever again. But then you get to the cliff scene, and it's one of the most shocking moments in the franchise because Final Fantasy VI doesn't flinch. It doesn't soften it. It doesn't kind of hero it up, so to speak. It's raw and uncomfortable. It's kind of like the most accurate depiction of like I can't do this anymore in the entire series. And they did all this with pixels. So, and then Locke's bandana shows up, and it's one of the most subtle emotional pivots in the series. And I still think this to this day that 6 really went to a lot of places, and a lot of earlier Final Fantasies, but 6 too, especially, went to a lot of places that I'm not even sure like a lot of modern AAA games would really touch. And by AAA games, I mean AAA games from AAA publishers would touch. Now, number 4, everybody's favorite chocolate lab golden retriever, Zack. Fair. So this is one of those scenes that hurts even if you already know it's coming. And if you're playing Crisis Core, how do you know it's not coming already? I can't believe I don't think Crisis Core is anybody's first foray into the 7 extended universe. But Zack is one of the most lovable protagonists that Square's ever made, period. Because he's optimistic and he's loyal and he's goofy and he truly believes in being a hero, and it's not for himself, it's to benefit those around him. But the world of Final Fantasy VII doesn't really reward heroes, it punishes it.
Boy, oh boy. The price of freedom is steep.
And Zack's final battle is basically him refusing to kind of accept what's happening. He's fighting the system, he's fighting fate, Shinra, everything, wave after wave, and he's doing it alone. And then it's this slow realization that this isn't a battle, it's an execution. And every wave of enemies is just the universe telling him to die. So yeah, this scene is basically Final Fantasy's version of emotional terrorism. And then we get to number 3, which might be another surprising pick, but I love this. This is Squall remembering his big sis at the orphanage because, you know, for most of 8, Squall comes off as this too cool for school, classic cold protagonist. He's quiet but distant and doesn't want to talk, doesn't want to connect with anybody, and his whole personality is the meme. Whatever. And if you're playing the game, just kind of strolling through it without really thinking too hard, you might just assume he's a moody teenager. But then you get to this like orphanage memory stuff where Squall remembers Alone. And Alone is the person that he trusted the most as a child. It was his safety, the person who was his warmth and comfort as a kid. And then she's gone. And this hits so hard because it definitively explains everything you need to know about Squall. He's not distant because he's cool. Well, he is cool. He's distant because he learned early that the people you love can disappear. And when you're a kid and something like that happens, you know, I don't think a kid, speaking as a former kid, you would think, like, oh, that's sad. You know, you think subconsciously you never want this to happen ever again. You protect yourself from that feeling, especially something as traumatic as that. So Squall basically builds his entire personality around never needing anyone. And because needing someone is a big risk, the moment reframes his whole character. He avoids closeness because closeness equals pain. He pushes people away because it's safer than just losing them or them leaving. And he acts cold because he thinks if he acts like he doesn't care, maybe it won't hurt so bad. And this is why I love his arc in VIII, and it's extremely well thought out and extremely emotional, because it's not this like more corny version of like learning to love kind of thing. It's a little more nuanced than that. It's learning that you don't have to live in fear of abandonment forever. So that's why that is number 3. Number 2, maybe another big surprise. Remember, these aren't the saddest moments. These are just the big impactful moments for me. Something that made me feel, you know what I mean? But Red 13 is one of the most beloved party members in VII. And for a lot of players, he's still kind of mysterious. He's wise and calm. He has 4 legs. He's furry and cute, and he's noble. But you don't really fully know his past. But then you get to the Cosmo Canyon story and you find out about Red 13's shame. Like, he thinks his father is or was this coward, and he thinks that his father abandoned his people, and there's this resentment surrounding him. But then you find Seto, literally frozen in time, still standing, still protecting them, still there all this time.
Of the Veil fought valiantly and offered up his life in defense of our home. As you see, he still watches over us to this very day.
Wait, is that Seto? My father? No, there's no way. You bet I am, after all. I am Nanaki, Watcher of Cosmo Canyon, and son of Seto, Protector of our Veil.
hits because it's not just sadness. It's this like pride mixed with regret. It's Red 13 realizing he hated the person he should have loved the most, and now it's too late to tell him. As a kid, it went so way over my head. I just thought it was like, oh, cool stories, cool little side story. But as an adult, it's like, you know, you get a little older and you want to tell the people that you love them and appreciate them. And you want to give them their flowers while they're still here. And that's why this hits so hard, because the regret of not doing that. All right, and number 1. Sorry, I had to re-record. My audio was like super wonky on the original. But for number 1, what I really wanted to do, I just wanted to put Vivi's entire arc, because there's so many moments in Final Fantasy IX where I'm just feeling for Vivi and everybody is pulling for Vivi. And that's why Vivi is probably the most loved character in the entire game. But if I had to pick just one moment from his arc, which is what we're doing on the list, for me, it has to be the moment he goes to the Black Mage Village. Because the whole game, Vivi doesn't know who he is. He doesn't know where he belongs. He's lost, he's just a little boy. And then he gets to the Black Mage Village and he sees others like him. And they're sentient. And he's so happy and he's hopeful and he's just filled with so much hopefulness when he sees others like him. And we all are happy for him. But then they kind of reject him. They're wary of him. They're not sure about him. He's kind of outcast again. And I don't know, it's just depressing. It really is, because you're rooting for Vivi this whole time. And poor Vivi, he just wants to be loved and he wants to be accepted and he wants somewhere that he can call home. That whole scene, the whole Black Mage Village part, really is such a gut punch for Vivi, for the party, and for all the players. And I personally think it definitely deserves to be number 1. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Let me know if you agree with the list. Would you rearrange it? Would you take some out? Would you put some in? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you all. And I just want to let you guys know, like, I really do think Final Fantasy is at its best when it isn't trying to be edgy and it's really just trying to tell a human story. I really wish Final Fantasy would ground itself like that again. Yeah. So have an amazing day. God bless.